All right, yeah. So Minnesota, they got their butts whooped last night in the Western Conference Finals for the second year in a row.
Yeah.
Do we think that this is their ceiling? Do they need to add any pieces? What's going on here? Can they break through?
Well, no, this clearly is this iteration of this team's ceiling. Like, that's obvious. But the way they get to a higher level is Ant improves. And I'm not putting this series like on Ant. For as good as Julius was the first two rounds, he kind of came crashing back down to earth in the conference finals, which is a bummer. And Minnesota already cleaned up their books a bit by trading Towns. Like, the Towns trade was somewhat about shaking the snow globe, but it was also about getting off that contract. Now they're in a tricky spot because I think a lot of people thought Julius Randle was going to opt in to his $31 million next year. Was he good enough in this playoffs that he opts out and looks for a longer deal? And does Minnesota want to give that to him? Naz Reid is definitely opting out and definitely getting money from somewhere. I think they're not going to be able to keep both of those guys. But what they do have, and then also Nickeil Alexander-Walker is also, could he leave? That's a question mark. But Ant is locked. Gobert is locked. Jaden is locked. Dante is locked. Conley has got 1 year left, assuming he doesn't. I mean, he could retire, but that would just be him giving up $11 million. Rob Dillingham, their draft pick from this year, he'll be back. And I like Terrence Shannon, another draft pick. So I think they are, positioned fine. And I'm not acting as if Ant let them down or anything like that. My point is, the way they get to the next step is their 23-year-old be better in year 24 than he was in year 23. And that this is a point that I made yesterday on TV, but I want to make it again here. When Shai was Ant's age, he had won 0 playoff games. When Giannis and Jokic were Ant's age, they had never been to a conference finals. So I don't think it's fair to act like Ant's anything other than ahead of schedule. I also think it would be silly to act like he doesn't, for them to get to the next level, he doesn't need to improve. But he said as much after the game, he was like, basically, I'm not sad about this. What was the exact quote he had? Hold on. I don't want to get it wrong because it was a very interesting quote. Ant said, I have it right here. Dusty put it in our first things first rundown because it's one of the things we're talking about today. Ant was asked, about how much this hurts. And he said, quote, I don't know why people would think it would hurt. It's exciting for me. I'm 23. I get to do it a whole bunch of times. I'm hurt more so for Mike Conley, who was sitting next to him. I came up short for Mike. We tried last year. We couldn't get it. We tried again this year. We'll try again next year. But hurt is a terrible word to use. I'm good. And then he went on to say, I'm going to work my butt off this summer. No one's going to work harder than me this summer. I'll tell you that much. So that might be a little like athletic bravado or, that Ant does, or maybe that really is how he feels. But the reality is at 23, compared to where his peers were at 23, he's ahead of schedule. The only person like one of his peers who had made a conference finals at that age was Luka. And so I don't think Timberwolves fans should be like crestfallen, like, oh, we missed our shot. I do think that their best path forward is for Ant to take a leap similar to how Shai did, from All-NBA caliber to MVP favorite. And that's a very, very, very hard leap to take, but that's the best path forward for them.
So you said on Tuesday you expected New York to come in and tie up the series. That obviously didn't happen. The Pacers are up 3-1 now. Did the Knicks blow their best opportunity, you think?
Well, when you look at... See, this is where... Because the question is, for the Knicks to win the championship, is this the best chance they're going to have had? And my answer to that question is probably, like, I don't look at this year as like, oh, it's wide open, because sitting on the other side of the bracket is a 68-win team that is run roughshod, in round 1 and round 3. And, Joker gave them their best shot in round 2, but they really do look like a team that is the best team in the league. So I don't look at it as, if you were in the Western Conference in the year the Nuggets won, and coming out of the East. And by the way, I think the Nuggets would have beaten the Celtics. But this isn't Daniel. This is really actually about Lakers wistfulness. The sitting on the other side of the bracket is the 8 seed Miami Heat. If you're in the West, that you're like, damn, that would have been a nice year to make the NBA Finals. And so I don't look at it that way. What I do look at it for the Knicks is doing what they did against Boston and then not being able to close the deal and at least get to the finals is going to feel very painful. But it is noteworthy that is how this has gone the last 2 years. Looks like we're going to have 3 years in a row where a team executes a pretty shocking upset. And I don't even know if it's shocking, but executes an upset of the defending champ in round 2 and then gets pretty easily dispatched in round 3. The Lakers beat the Warriors in round 2 when the Warriors were the defending champs, and then got swept in the conference finals. The Timberwolves beat the Nuggets in round 2 and then lost in 5 in the conference finals. The Knicks beat the Celtics in round 2 and are now down 3-1 in the conference finals. Particularly when it comes to the Knicks beating the Celtics and the Timberwolves beating the Nuggets, you do feel like, was there a bit of an exhale after winning those series and then the other team jumped out on you? The question for the Knicks is, are they going to simply run this team back next year? We can discuss that more if and when their season ends. Well, I shouldn't say if. At some point their season's going to end. But when their season ends, the question for me is, can they win tonight? And man, you gotta think the Knicks at some point are going to just play a really good start to finish game. They haven't done that yet this series. Even the game they won, they were not really good start to finish. You also have to think, or at least I would think, that the Knicks, that MSG tonight gives, and they haven't been that good at home in these playoffs, gives them a little boost of energy. And with the fans having been so good for them all year, that they don't want to go out like that. And so some of the stuff to me is fixable in that even after makes, you have to get back on defense because the Pacers are going to try to run, and you have to do a better job taking care of the ball. The Knicks have had, I know everyone's going to point to game one, and game one was a historic meltdown. Like we talked about it in the moment. We've never seen anything like it. But even outside of game one, we're yet to see them put 4 good quarters together. Game two, they did a good job shutting down Halliburton. They couldn't shut down Siakam at all, and they let the Pacers jump out after it's close throughout. The Knicks lose concentration or let go of the rope, or the Pacers are just better for the opening few minutes of the fourth quarter, and that's how they win. Game three, which the Knicks do win, the Pacers are dominating that game. The Knicks don't play well for the first 3 quarters. Cat goes crazy and the Knicks steal it. Game 4, the Pacers are in control really the entirety of that game. And now the Knicks, for a moment, it was like, oh man, are the Knicks going to do to the Pacers in game 4 what the Pacers did the Knicks in game 1? But there's a reason that had never been done in NBA history. It's very, very hard to do. The Knicks are yet to put 4 great quarters together.